Sup, Reitanna, it's Reitanna Seishin here. I'm recording on my phone, so the quality may not be as good. I had an interesting dream last night. What's today? Today is December 3rd, 2015. So, I guess I was at an airport or something. I have my rats with me, so if I go good, that's why. I guess I was at an airport, but it was like a really small and extremely empty airport. There was hardly anybody there, and it was like the middle of the night. And I guess I was lost, so I was trying to find my way home. I have a lot of dreams where I'm in some huge city where I don't know anybody. I have no transportation, no phone, no way of getting home. I have a lot of dreams like that, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because somebody abandoned me in LA a few years ago. Anyway, enough about that. So I think I didn't have any money, but I went to the airport to see if maybe I could try and find a phone to call somebody, and I don't fully remember everything that happened. But there were a couple of people who were kind of on my side, like, oh, well, if you need a ride, we can try and give you a ride. And I'm like, I need a ride to the town I live in. They're like, oh my God, that's far away. How did you get out here? And I was like, I have no idea. And for some reason, my old friend, we're going to call her Taylor, even though her name was not Taylor. She was one of my best friends who went downhill, started lying, and started doing drugs. The reason why why I'm calling her Taylor is because she was almost named Taylor. So let's call her Taylor. She was there for some reason, and whenever I dream about her, I always dream about the way she used to be. So we were on good terms. And I was like, what are you doing here? And she's like, oh, I'm visiting some family, and blah, blah, blah. And she started introducing me to her friends. And there was this rumor going around that there was an area in the airport that was haunted by a little girl who died. I don't know how she died in the airport. So it was way in the middle of the night. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I wasn't sure, when or where I'd be able to leave or go to. So just out of curiosity, I went upstairs to the place where they say was haunted. And it looked like an enormous, completely empty house. Like a clean, empty house just before you move into it. And all the walls were white, the ceiling was white, the carpet was white. But it was dim, it was dark, there were no lights, no light fixtures, nothing. And I kind of stared at it for a moment, and I was like, wow, this is eerie. And then I walked down a hall and kind of looked around and saw that it just went on forever. There was nothing but walls, floors, doors, nothing. It didn't look like an airport. And I was like, oh, this is pretty creepy. So I didn't see anything, but I didn't explore very much. So I went downstairs and they were like, oh my God, you're so crazy for going up there. And I'm like, Taylor, you and I need to go check this out. We need to go explore. And she's like, what? And little background on Taylor. She's the one who got me into horror as much as I am. Her mother wasn't very responsible, basically raised Taylor from a little baby on rated R slasher movies. So that's part of the reason why she had so many problems. But either way, she was desensitized too. So she always bragged about how fearless she would be if she were in these situations of, these horror movies or these video games. And so I was like, yeah, come on, Taylor, you're the bravest person out of all of us, and I'm the second bravest, so you and I should go check it out and see and debunk this whole ghost shit and stuff and put everybody's mind to rest. And she believed in ghosts very heavily, so she was like, yeah, let's totally go. Like, in a way that means I was bragging about how fearless I would be, but now I'm scared shitless, and I was just making myself look good. And I knew this, of course, because she was just the biggest bullshitter I'd ever known. So I was like, yeah, let's go, Taylor. Let's go upstairs and find the ghosty. So I had a flashlight, and we went upstairs, and I had this idea where we walk back to back, where our backs are touching, so that she sees what's behind us and I see what's in front of us. And if you're ever in a situation where you need to keep on a lookout, like say if in the middle of the night you hear somebody break into your house and there's two of you, you need to do this back-to-back thing because you never know when they're going to come up behind you. So that's what we did. And I had my flashlight and she had a flashlight. I think I also had a video camera. And it was empty like before, but the further we went, it just extended impossibly forever. The further we went, the darker it got, and it seemed like the carpet and the walls were getting really grimy, and it started to look more worn down and stuff, like it was completely abandoned, even though this was, a regularly visited airport, I guess. So, I was fascinated. I mean, in real life, I'm not gonna lie. Oh, hey, Tommy. In real life, I would most likely be terrified, but in my dreams, I'm just the bee's knees. So I was super, super excited, and especially since I didn't believe in ghosts, and I was like, this is so cool. Am I finally gonna get some proof? And then I heard a giggle, and Taylor was completely silent, and I could feel her shaking. And I said, hello? And a little girl responded, hello, and I'm like, who are you? I don't think she said her name. I think I don't remember what she said, but she said something. And, Taylor booked it. Taylor left. She just ran away, and I was like, oh, great. I'm alone with a flashlight, a camera, and a possible ghost. So, I just kept talking to her. I said, what happened to you? And she said, a man killed me. And I was like, do you know who it was? And she was like, no. And then I saw her. She, typical, was gray in color, had long black hair because I watched too many Asian horror movies. She was in this really tattered white dress that was kind of bloodstained. I'd have to say that she was probably about 6 or 7. And she sounded really sweet. She looked terrifying, but she sounded really sweet. But don't they all? And so I tried to keep my cool. I did feel a little scared, but I'm like, maybe all she wants is some help, so I'm going to try and help her. She was a person too. It's not any different than me. So I kept trying to talk to her, trying to say, what happened to you? When did this happen? Why are you still here? Why do you haunt the airport? But she was screwing with me. And she ended up phasing through a wall and leaving. So I took the nearest door to where she possibly could have gone, and I went in, and everything turned industrial, like typical Silent Hill industrial, and I was like, oh, shit, what did I just get myself into? And it was really hot, it was steamy, rusty, bloody, it smelled bloody, it smelled metallic and bloody, and, I was like, I think I just fucked myself. So I tried to go back. There was no back to go to. So this is when my dream self did start getting pretty frightened. I ended up meeting with this other person. I'm gonna call her Alexa, even though I'm not exactly sure if that was her name. And she said, oh my god, I have been trapped up here for weeks. It feels like years. I don't even know if it's been days or weeks. And blah, blah, blah. It's been chaotic. I've been running from this little girl and her stupid monsters. And I'm like, monsters? She's like, she got monsters? She reminded me of Alessa. That's probably where this dream came from. I bet this dream was all just like Silent Hill stuff. So we stayed together and I had my camera and stuff. We ended up finding the little girl. She was in a corner and she was looking at me. So I had my camera and I was like, oh my god, I have a ghost on camera. This is freaking real. If I get through this, I will have proved the existence of ghosts and I have proved myself wrong. So again, I started talking to her. I kind of knelt down to be at her eye level so that I wasn't, threatening. I was treating her like a human child. Trying to ask her, are you upset? Is there anything I can do for you? Anything to help you be more happy? She was just smiling at me. I wasn't sure if she knew that I was trying to help or if she didn't understand. Because she had been killed, she had a warped opinion on humans, so that's probably why she was attacking people who came up to where she was killed. But I was trying to show her that, I was going to help her. But the closer I got, the wider she smiled. And finally, when I was, right next to her, she just, lashed out at me. And I screamed, of course, because it was a jump scare. It was literally a jump scare. She jumped, and she ended up just going right through me and disappearing. And the camera glitched briefly as she passed through it, but it was fine. Like this Sammy rat. And I was like, okay, she's not playing around. Well, she is playing around, but not in our favor, so we need to get the fuck out of here. And Alexa was like, I think I know a way out, but I don't know how to get to it. So we started walking rather quickly. I did the same thing where I had her behind me, touching my back so that she could look behind us. And then we started getting chased by this monster. It was really spindly. It was kind of flesh-colored. It looked like, you know the movie, the really trashy, horrible movie, Sadako 3D? The only cool part about that movie were these imperfect Sadakos. They looked kind of like big, horrifying spiders, something you would see in Silent Hill. That's what it kind of reminded me of, except smaller. But it was terrifying nonetheless. It didn't have any hair, it was just all flesh, and it looked like it had too much flesh just melted onto whatever its skeleton was, and it was fast. So Alexa and I just chased it down the frickin' hall where we thought maybe the exit, the stairs back down to the airport was. Oh, my rats are squeaking. So we were running, and Alexa told me that she had managed to rig up a sticky bomb of some kind, because I guess her brothers built homemade bombs, so she learned how to do it. Oh, little Tommy, you're so cute. Okay, sorry. She said, you know, I don't know if I'm going to make it out of this, but I want you to make it out of this because, you know, you tried to save me, you tried to save the little girl. So she stuck the bomb to the wall, and she's like, I'm going to try and get that monster's attention, and if I don't make it, you need to somehow get the monster onto the wall over the bomb, and it'll stick to the bomb, for some reason, and it'll blow up. So she did. She distracted the monster, and it killed her. I don't remember exactly what it did. It either punctured her with one of its limbs, or it punctured her with its tiny, tiny head. Where is Sammy? You better not have escaped. I've been watching you. Where are you? Oh, good boy. Good boy. Okay, I'm sorry. Hi, Tom Tom. So it killed her, and I was like, well, shit. And then I was like, hey, thing, over here. So it went to jump at me, but I dodged. So it ended up jumping onto the wall, and it stuck to the bomb. And I backed away, and it exploded. And I was like, yay, I did it. And then the little girl screamed bloody murder, and she started running after me, and I was like, oh, fuck. So I ran, and since I didn't have Alexa with me, I had no idea where this so-called exit was, but then I saw these descending rusty stairs, and I just sprinted down them, and impossibly they faded into the carpeted stairs that I had ascended before, and I was back down in the airport, and there was Taylor with all of her friends, and they were like, oh my god, we thought you died, and I was like, yeah, so did I. Hey Taylor, saw a ghost. Would have been nice if you were there, you coward. So I had the video, and I showed it all to them. And then I guess I managed to get on a flight back to San Diego or whatever, because apparently I was not in San Diego. And then I went to a Wendy's in the food court of the next airport, and I love my Sam. And I don't know why I went to the Wendy's, because, you know, there are plenty of other things I can eat, and there's nothing at Wendy's that I could eat. But for some reason, Wendy's had, like, mashed potatoes and this fruit whipped cream pie stuff. And then, for some reason, I was somehow born with a birth defect where I had these slits at the corner of my mouth. It's really hard to explain. They were like fish gills, except just through the flesh, like on my bottom lip. I'll try to draw it. And I guess I had inherited that from a bunch of family members that I didn't even know existed. And I ended up meeting a couple of them, including an uncle who had the same thing, except instead of on the corner of his mouth, his entire mouth was like that. I guess his sister also had her entire mouth like that. So I was waiting in line to order, and I got mashed potatoes and this fruit pie, which looked delicious. It was like fresh fruit in a pie crust. There was like raspberries, blueberries, strawberries, blackberries. I think there were apples and kiwi slices, and then it was just like covered in a barrier of whipped cream, and it was amazing. And for some reason, I got that before I got my mashed potatoes. And then they fucked up my order, so I didn't even get my mashed potatoes. Reitanna, what the fuck is this dream about? I don't even know. And then this old guy just kept staring at me. I wasn't sure if he was staring at my birth defect or if he was, like, being a dirty old man and staring at me. Because I'm always more attractive in my dreams than I am in real life. And hi, Tommy, you're so cute. So I kind of stared at him back when I realized that he was either checking out my birth defect or checking me out. And I was, like, staring him down. And he looked away briefly. Then I went to go back in line to see if I, because I had my receipt. And I was like, excuse me, I did not get my mashed potatoes. And as I walked away, he was like, I don't care about your weird mouth. What did he say? He said, I don't care about your weird mouth. You're pretty, either way. And I was like, excuse me? And, God, I cannot remember what happened next. I didn't attack him, but I ended up bumping into this really mean-looking girl who pushed me. And she had an SLR camera with her. And she took a picture of my face after she pushed me, which obviously was startled, and she was like, and I was like, what is the point of, what are you doing? So, I guess I had forgotten all about the old man. I think maybe the girl took a picture of me because of my weird mouth. But I pushed her. She was much bigger than me, but I pushed her, and I took her camera. And then I guess I walked away momentarily while she got off of the ground, and I threw the camera as hard as I could into a crowd of people. And I came back. She's like, where the fuck is my camera? I'm like, I don't know. Do you see it in my hands? So she started getting all uppity. And usually in my dreams, I will fucking beat the shit out of people who... What are you squeaking about? What are you squeaking about, huh? What you squeaking about? Who does so much? Anyway, I'll usually beat the shit out of the people who mess with me, but I felt like, because she was like my age, but she was acting like a little tween, and I was like, I don't want to deal with you. So I went outside, and there was this small tent that was a freak show or something, and I'm like, oh, cool, with my gilled up mouth thing, I'd be perfect for a freak show. So I went in there, and there were a lot of people, and it was way too small for how many people there were. And the ceiling was way too low. And I started watching what the other freaks did. I can't actually necessarily remember what they were doing. But apparently they were not very talented, so the leader, who was also a freak, was like, how are we going to make money with our deformities if we can't even do anything interesting with them? And then the girl whose camera I had thrown came around and opened the tent up and, like, knocked down the tent and had a bunch of her friends, and they were like, ha, freaks, 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 and I guess she got her camera back, so she was taking pictures and stuff. And that's when I got mad. Hi, Tommy, you're so cute, rats. That's when I got mad, and I guess I had this weird squirt gun full of spoiled milk or something. It wasn't, like, curdled yet, but it was sour, and I sprayed her with it because she was the closest one. And then, I can barely remember what happened. Some kind of fight ensued, and... Shit, this part is all gone. I don't know, some kind of fight ensued. I really don't remember the outcome of it. But I finally made it home. But Michael wasn't there for some reason. And I felt really lonely. I felt hopeless, I guess. I guess I just felt like I was dead or something. Hi, Sammy, I see you, you beautiful, beautiful rat. So I kind of just slumped on the floor, and then my hair grew really long, really thick, and it all turned black. It's blonde right now, it's its natural color right now, and it turned black. I was like, this is weird, and I started to feel extremely exhausted. And then my body went limp. I could not move it. And a big portion of my hair wrapped around my neck and was suspended in midair and was kind of dragging me, and it dragged me outside. It was dragging me along the asphalt, and there were a bunch of people who recognized me, and I think Mike must have been at work or something, because he came out and he was like, Kara, what's going on? And I couldn't answer. I couldn't even look around to see him, and I was just being dragged. I ended up being dragged to these kids who were like, what is going on with this woman? Hello? Are you okay? And they were so young that they didn't understand that something paranormal was happening. My hair was hanging me. And then when I looked away, I was yanked through some kind of forest that started to condense in on me as I was yanked through it. And the trees became more plush as I went, so it felt like I was being dragged through gigantic pillows. The black hair was getting ripped out of my head, but I couldn't feel it as I went. And I was dropped into this new dimension, which is funny because this is the second night in a row that I had a dream of being dropped into another dimension. I'll get into that one a little later. So I was dropped into a dimension. It looked kind of like my home, except it was bigger, almost like I was a smaller sized human than normal, or everything was just gigantic. I really don't remember what happened. I remember being happier there. But I also remember hearing, I guess on the TV, the news from my dimension was able to come in, and they were looking for me, and there was helicopters and stuff, and I could actually see the helicopters outside, but they couldn't see me because I wasn't in their dimension. And the ruler of this dimension was my rat, Sammy. But he was the same size, and he couldn't speak, but we could all understand him for some reason. And he was very intelligent. He was less energetic. Instead of running around, he'd sort of walk and pace and watch everybody. And for some reason, John Cena was there, and he came up to me. He's like, is that your rat? And I'm like, well, it's a version of it. And he's like, I don't trust it. It's always staring at everybody. It's always looking at me. I feel like it's going to kill us. I'm like, Sammy wouldn't do that. He's like, if this isn't your dimension, this isn't your Sammy. And Tommy was there too, but he was much smaller. He was basically like Sammy's slave, so we pushed him around all the time, and he had a big gash on his shoulder, and I felt really sorry for him because he's such a sweetheart. And I kept hearing Michael yelling for me, like it was echoing, but I couldn't yell at him back. And then things got really sexual for some reason. I'm not going to go into those details, but I ended up waking up from my cramps, and it was so weird. Night before last, I wasn't me. I was this little 5-year-old girl, and my mother was this really pretty woman with straight, long, mousy brown hair. And apparently, we were friends with Slender Man. And we knew how to get to him through this door to another dimension. We had a bunch of doors to different dimensions. So we went to go visit him, and he couldn't speak, but we went into his house, and he was playing the piano! Because of course Slender Man was playing the piano. And I went into his cupboard, and I got some candy. It was like gummy candy or something. And he came up to me, and he lightly smacked me on the shoulder, as if to say, no! And then he took a marker, and he drew the operator symbol on my leg. And then he shook his finger at me as if to say, shame, shame, shame. And I was like, I'm sorry, did I do something bad? And he nodded his head, and he held out his hand, and I gave him back the candy. And then he took a small piece off, and he gave it to me, and I was like, yay, candy, woo! And since it happened night before last, I don't remember all of the details, but I do remember being able to go through the regular dimension, through the human dimension, and be able to see everybody and be able to fuck with things, to mess with things, but they had no idea what was going on and couldn't see me, couldn't hear me. So, I don't know, it was really weird. I have a lot of different dimension dreams, but they've just been such crazy dreams. Huh, Tommy? Where's your brother? Is he in the blanket? Is he in the... Yes, he's in the blanket. Anyway, so, yeah, that was my weird-ass ghost dream. So, yeah, leave a like on this video if you liked it, and make sure to subscribe, spread the word of awesome, become a Reitannite, and I shall see you later, alligators and crocodiles. Goodbye!